Hello and welcome to Outcast Collective Podcast. We sat down last week and had a really long and good discussion, and we are picking up where we left off, where we were talking about the future of TV, and it flowed really well into the future of DC and its comics. So I'm just going to let us get right into it and take it away, Pastor Rob. News. I just heard this today, and I just thought of it. Greg Berlanti has officially been signed on to direct Booster Gold.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Right. And so as long as his buddy, what's his name? Kreisberg goes with him, that's going to be a great fucking movie.
Mm-hmm.
You put them in the DC universe, as far as cinematic goes.
Who do you cast as Booster Gold?
I don't even know what you guys are talking about, so this is all you.
Booster Gold is a ridiculous character. That he is an amazing superhero, but even Batman won't even give him credit for saving the world. That's who Booster Gold is. But he's hilarious.
Is it kind of like Deadpool-y?
Not crude Deadpool, but like
an airheaded hero or what?
No. He's cocky.
Full of them fucking stuff.
Yeah, he's really cocky. He talks a bunch of shit.
Egotistical.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Worse than Tony Stark.
But yes.
He's really similar to like Tony in a way, like in that he talks smack. It's all ego driven for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, he likes the fame.
Yeah. Yeah, where Tony like kind of plays into it and he's just kind of like the sarcastic ass, where Booster Gold is all like, I'm the greatest thing ever. And he'll even like tell stories of superheroing events that he didn't even do.
Like fish stories.
This
Big
is
fish
perfect.
story.
Here, this is perfect. Did you ever see Captain or Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog?
No.
Oh, damn it.
Well, see, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris might be my guy.
I've never seen that.
My guy is actually Nathan Fillion.
And I've heard that.
Which is, he's already expressed want to play Booster Gold.
Yeah.
He's already voiced Booster Gold before.
He has voiced Booster Gold.
And he played Captain Hammer in Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog.
Right.
Who essentially was Booster Gold. Like, he just, the swagger, the cockiness, he was Booster Gold.
Oh, why didn't you ever tell me about that movie?
We just found out about it today.
No, that movie that you're
Dr.
talking
Horrible sing-along blog?
Oh, yeah.
It's been around for a while. It's a Joss Whedon, like, he just did it as like a little web series.
Yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris was in it. He does some singing and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
Felicia
Day's in it.
And that's why I argue for Neil Patrick Harris, because his
Right.
Barney character is, in a way, a Booster Gold.
Well,
Right.
my thing is like, I feel like anytime they get fans involved, great things happen. Look at Ben Affleck being involved with Batman. Great things happen. At least his parts of the movie were awesome. Kevin Smith directing The Flash. He was, huge fan. That episode's awesome. I can tell you right now, it's such a good episode.
Good.
Yeah.
And all the actors just delivered so well.
I bet.
Then you get, people that are passionate.
I just love how humbled Kevin is.
Right.
He
You get people
thinks
that are
he's
passionate.
like nothing, and he's amazing.
Yeah.
Right. You get people that are passionate, and the best of that product comes out. Ryan Coogler directing Creed. He was a huge Rocky fan.
Well, Tim Miller and Ryan Reynolds doing Deadpool.
Exactly.
They gave a fuck about it.
Exactly. So if we get people that are fans involved, when people asked Nathan Fillion, what character would you want to play? He didn't name off something that everybody would know, hoping to please the crowd. No, he named off a character that he liked.
Yeah.
He said, I want to play Booster Gold.
Well, that makes sense then.
And so let him play Booster Gold. And then you can do an awesome fun thing, because Alan Tudyk has said that he wants to play Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
Blue Beetle and Booster Gold do crossovers constantly in the comic books. Let it happen. Those two on screen they're always a blast. Even when they're just interviewing, and like when they're on Fat Man on Batman together, plugging Con Man. Oh my God, they were great.
So is there a talk about it?
Not yet, but
not
there
yet.
should
But
be.
as soon as you put Berlanti and Kreisberg on Booster Gold, I guarantee they are talking to Nathan
You
Fillion.
should email that shit to Collider, and Collider get that voice out.
But I think Nathan Fillion is a great choice. I'm a big fan for Neil Patrick Harris as well. But if you get Nathan Fillion and Tudyk to do the 2 combo, and you're gonna put Blue Beetle in there, which Blue Beetle's an awesome character as it is. I mean, my favorite arc for him was actually Young Justice League.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I've
true.
seen him in the comics before, and I've seen him in a couple other places. But Young Justice League was a great rendition, which wouldn't be the true Blue Beetle. It was the one who acquires the armor afterwards or whatever. But no, it's a good and awesome situation for that.
Oh, sure.
So, but I am 100% excited for Berlanti taking that over because he is killing it in Berlanti land. All 4 of those shows are fucking amazing.
Right.
I'm a little burnt out on Arrow, to be honest. It's the same thing over again. Damien Dark is kind of a cool change because he's got superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
But they're kind of doing the same thing with the Arrow character, and they're not giving.
Do you think maybe Arrow's run its course?
Unfortunately, I think so.
Unless you do something really drastic where, like, maybe you bring back Deathstroke somehow, and you let him be like a season-long big bad or something like that. Like, honestly,
It probably needs a season. It needs a season-long big bad, I think.
See, honestly, what I think they need to do is stop the individual shows for a season.
yeah.
Let's stop Arrow. Let's stop Flash. Let's stop Supergirl, and even maybe take some of the probably let Legends of Tomorrow, let them do their thing, but let's stop Arrow, Flash, and Supergirl, and maybe create a small Justice League.
Right.
Because
Primetime heroes.
what?
Primetime heroes.
Yeah, if you create a small version of the Justice League and you bring in a couple new characters, maybe bring in a fucking Nightwing, or Blue Beetle would be really hard cinematically because you're constantly doing CGI. That's the hard part. But find a couple characters and do a season arc where it's just them, because Arrow is kind of run its course to me as a story arc. So what are you going to do again? What are you going to create? What version? Are you going to kill Felicity now? Or are you going to kill Diggle? Or are you gonna, right. Well, it's
At one point.
how many times can you threaten the death of these characters before it's just boring?
Right.
And the same with Flash. So why don't we change it up? Let's mix the fuck up, and let's do different shows. So, let's change it up to where it's a whole season now of them teamed up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish they would be more open boxed and creative.
Right.
And
Well,
I hope over time this whole world that we're talking about can change and be more open minded and more creative.
Right.
Because there's so many people out there that don't want change. These are my characters. This is what happens in the comic book. This is what I want to happen. No.
right.
Come on, just open your mind.
Right.
This is how characters grow, how they keep living on for years and years and years, because we keep recreating amazing new things every once in a while.
So I think that's a very good point of talking about how creative differences should be allowed, and that the DC universe should not be 100% a copy of what Marvel is doing. That just makes sense, because I don't want the same fucking thing repeated. Otherwise, you will literally have superhero fatigue. I don't want that. And I don't think Civil War did that. I think we got a great movie, and I'm excited for more. So I wasn't fatigued. Maybe others were. We'll see. I don't know. But one of the other big topics that we have that we're working with right now is Ben Affleck has been not only given his freedom with a Batman movie, not only just as director, but he's executive producing his own movie. But now he's executive producing Justice League. Honestly, I think this may or may not be a bad thing, and it can go both ways. I think it potentially will see significant changes as time goes on. This movie may represent a little bit more BVS, but we'll see. But here's a quote from Ben Affleck concerning the DC Comics, DC Universe. Ben Affleck says, DC Comics is more mythic. It is more grand in that way. It is a little more realistic. Just by their nature, these films can't be as funny or as quick or as glib as Marvel movies.
Right.
And then if you further on in the conversation, he talks about Marvel movies set this tone and they're a little bit more lighter, and that DC is darker, and we're embracing that. And the Warner Brothers exec is also doing it just as well. I am personally on the side that I don't mind a darker, grittier, maybe even a more heavy movie or universe in general, because they're even talking like Wonder Woman is going to be that way, Aquaman's going to be that way, and when Justice League comes out, it's going to be that way. My ultimate concern is that Zack Snyder is supposed to be directing Justice League 1, and now Ben Affleck is being placed over top of him, and he's supposed to be acting in it, and he's going to be the main role, because Batman v Superman leads us into believing that Batman is going to bring the Justice League together.
Even Snyder said that.
Yeah.
Is that moving forward, Batman is going to be the guy that hunts down and grabs everybody and gets them to team up. Yeah, I honestly, I think it's a little weird. Like it's unprecedented that it's such a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
There's never been any other movie where naming somebody as an executive producer has drawn this much attention. Like, holy shit. Like, that's proof right there that your fan base is pissed and not happy with what Zack Snyder's doing. If just simply giving Affleck a executive producer promotion is this big of a deal, then you done fucked up. I think by announcing it and making it this public, they have lost confidence in Zack Snyder. If Zack Snyder is at all an intelligent person, he needs to be worried about his job right now.
I think he should collaborate and not bang heads with Affleck.
See,
yeah,
exactly. And I think that is an amazing point, because if you take Man of Steel is a great movie. I enjoyed it. I didn't have any gripes about it. I thought it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Superman was Superman, and he gave me a Superman that I enjoyed.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the fight. I didn't mind that he tore up Manhattan. Metropolis. I understood it. This is his first fight against something significant. It makes sense. But executive producer / writer was Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
So Zack Snyder got to work with a brilliant mind. Let's take Batman v Superman, for example. Who did he get to work with? Well, the writer on it was Chris Terrio, who is writing in Justice League. The thing is, I don't think Zack Snyder had people around him for Batman v Superman that would tell him no.
Yeah.
Just like George Lucas.
And I think Ben is pretty cocky enough to say, wait a minute.
No. The problem is, I hear that Batman v Superman has a 4-hour cut.
It's ridiculous.
Hollywood standard. I have the book. It's right here. Trying to learn how to write screenplays myself.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood standard says you write a 2-hour movie at the max.
Yeah.
Not a 4-hour
If
movie.
you're writing a 4-hour movie, half your movie is going to be cut out.
Right.
Yeah.
So the question
Why are you
is,
writing 4-hour movies? New
Right.
writers, please.
yeah, that's the big thing. It's whose fault is this? So there's not a lot of dialogue in Batman v Superman. If you honestly take the dialogue as it is, that might be an 1.5-hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yet it's a 2.5-hour movie. So whose fault is Batman v Superman? Obviously, it's not a horrible, horrible movie. I watched it. I enjoyed it. But as I pulled away from it, it became less and less a good movie for me.
Mm-hmm.
Janelle, you love the movie.
I love the movie. I'm not negative about it, but I'm a dark person. So, and I look at Superman, yes, everybody's like, oh, he's not as dark, you know, he's all about hope, and, well, you know what, people get upset. People get depressed. You know, the world is mad at him right now. They're trying to, you know, get out of here. He's going to be hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and then everybody's getting upset that he's just not this uppity character that's always got hope and trying to, you know, bring the hope into the situation. And I'm just going, this is just a dark moment in his life. And you get to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my creative side of seeing things and my emotional side of seeing things and making he is half human.
Right.
Isn't he?
Well, no.
He's got something human. He's
no.
Well, other than
nothing?
he was born and raised
So
as a
he was raised
human.
as human.
Yeah,
So-
he only learned his powers as he started getting them. If you
Right.
take Smallville for
he's
his
raised by
100%
us.
origin.
He's raised emotionally by
Yeah,
us.
he's raised by the Kents. And so, yeah, he
You know.
is very human. And I'm okay with that. My problem with Batman v Superman is when he retreats to the mountains and he disappears.
Right. And
If
I
you
call that
take-
like a Zen moment, but
Well, and I understand a Zen moment, but for Superman to leave his city in such a pivotal moment where he could be saving the bank, you know, stopping the bank robber here or saving this moment here, which we didn't get, which I would have loved. If he would have pulled a cat out of a fucking tree, that would have just been a moment of humanity. Instead of him randomly doing this or doing that, and that's the problem. Is the movie? I guarantee that 4-hour-long movie is fucking fantastic.
Probably.
I think it probably might even be the best fucking
I
super
wish they
movie
would
ever.
allow 4-hour movies.
Right.
Right.
Well, I don't even understand why you would get to the point where you create a 4-hour movie and then have to push it down to a 2.5-hour movie. Return of the King is one of the highest grossing movies ever. It was like 3 hours and 12 minutes or some shit like that.
Right.
When it was in theaters. That's not even the extended cut. The
Right.
extended cut is like 4 hours. You know? And it's an insanely awesome movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the anxiety of defeating the Ring and destroying it, you could have created that if you really wanted to jam Doomsday story in there. You didn't need it. And so that's the question, is whose fault is BV Superman? Because even though Janelle, or the average moviegoer, she didn't read the comics, she doesn't know all the stories, she hasn't watched all the animation movies, she knows what I have told her as far as comics go.
And what I've seen. And
Right.
yeah.
But she enjoyed the
Read.
movie. She cried during the movie. She loved
I
the
cried
movie.
when
Yeah.
Batman or Superman died.
Yeah. She understood the emotion behind it all.
But I connect to anything emotionally. So as long as it's emotional, I probably will like it. So.
Right. And so there is a version of this movie hitting people where it matters. But the box office and the fact that I didn't want to go see it a second time says something. Civil War, I want to go see it again. Deadpool, I wanted to see it again. Star Wars, I saw it 3 fucking times. I wanted to see it more, but I couldn't. You know, it was the Batman. I just had no desire to see it again. The farther I got away from it, the more and more I was displeased with it, and the more and more I'm knowing that there's this giant director's cut coming. I'm like, I just want the director's cut.
Yeah.
Give me that.
So do you think that's where where everybody's saying that DC is just becoming too dark or is
I
not as lively as Marvel?
Well, see, I think that is a problem. Marvel is Marvel. DC is DC. It is 100% a different thing. Even in the comics, they're 100% different. As I got older, as I got more mature, the DC comics become more and more interesting. And that's where I am incredibly interested in what DC's doing.
Right.
Well,
Well, as far as like the Ben Affleck quote, I tend to agree with the statement, or maybe just understand what he's trying to say. But I think that DC, being its own mood, its own darkness, balances out the two universes. You know,
Agreed.
also, does DC really want to be Marvel?
No.
No,
No.
that's not the point.
But you have to have everything has to be viable. Like that's the big downfall of
Fan.
Batman v Superman is that all their motivations are lost,
Yeah.
and nobody knows what the driving force is. You know, in Civil War, everybody had a motivation.
Right.
Like literally, I think the only character I can come up with that you don't necessarily have like the best motivation for is Crossbones in the beginning, but he's part of a set piece to get the ball rolling,
Right.
and even still, he has the motivation of, you know, Captain America dropped a fucking building on me, and I got burned alive.
Right.
I'm fucking pissed, and I'm like maimed, and I'm never gonna look normal ever again.
So do you think that Ben's gonna take this Batman versus Superman learning experience and take DC to still dark, but better level?
He is already a really good storyteller.
Oh, 100%.
He has such... See, Zack Snyder is great for visuals, but he can't tell a fucking story.
Right.
No, you
For
can't.
dick.
Yeah.
Look at Sucker Punch.
Right. Well, Sucker Punch, and then even Watchmen.
Yeah.
There's like 4 different versions of Watchmen where he's not the writer, and the last version, the director's cut, is so good, and it's so much better than the fucking movie one that showed up in the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Gracious, I like Sucker Punch.
No, Sucker Punch is well.
Okay, it's fun, but can you explain to me what it was about? Was
is-
it a dream? Was it a hallucination?
Right.
Was it her imagination?
I mean,
What the
I
fuck
think
was it?
I think that's what the point is we're gonna leave it up to you. But a lot of people don't like that.
I think it was her imagination.
Ultimately, if you really want to take it for what it was her imagination
I get what
exploding.
you're saying,
Here's this stressful situation,
And you tend
and this
to
is how
separate from self to go somewhere else. I understand
right.
that.
And I enjoyed Sucker Punch. Can I watch the movie again? Probably not. I
Yeah.
mean, I know I've watched the movie again since I originally saw it, and I kind of like fast forward to the action scenes.
Yeah.
You know, so
Because in between the action, there's nothing explaining why people are there, nothing explaining what their motivations are,
Yeah.
what the goal is. There's just a set piece and then some bullshit in between, and then another big set piece,
Yeah.
and then some bullshit in between. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, the whole movie, by the end of it, you're like, this didn't give me shit. Like, it just impressed me, but that's about it. And, you know, Affleck is a
Yeah.
storyteller. He takes stories that you wouldn't necessarily go like, oh fuck yeah, I want to make a movie about that,
Right.
and then he makes a movie, and you're like, shit,
I'm-
that was really fucking good.
I'm just glad that the fans, or weren't fans, are now fans, didn't hold his Daredevil role against him too far into his career, because I know everybody hated it
They did.
and and they held it against Ben when it wasn't Ben, it was the writers, and
Yeah.
so I think Ben got a lot of slack for that.
Right.
And so he had to like literally pull himself up and out and to be able to be where he is right now.
Right. And when they announced him as Batman, I was one of the naysayers.
I was
like,
too. I was
no.
like, wait a minute.
What?
no, I was on board 100%.
I
at the
was
beginning.
scared because of Daredevil.
No, I knew he would do it. Daredevil didn't matter to me because I
Yeah.
understood how the Daredevil played out. And to me, the biggest thing is I saw Affleck as Bruce Wayne, just as I saw Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. And I went, yeah, I think that makes sense. And so to me, Ben Affleck was immediate. I went, yeah, no, that's fine. That'll work. He's got the physique. He's got the build. He's got the jaw that makes Batman Batman.
Got the cocky attitude.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is he's a fan of Batman. He was a decent fan of Daredevil, but he is a fan of Batman.
Yeah, we got
He's got a
Kevin
fucking
talking
bat
about-
cave that he built in his house. he is the quintessential Batman, just as Robert Downey Jr. is the quintessential Tony Stark, Iron Man.
Kevin Smith saying that, when Ben was younger, he'd lay on his
Yeah.
on the living room floor.
Yeah, when they were
Batman
filming the early movies of Kevin Smith, he talked about how he introduced Ben Affleck to Batman, and Ben Affleck would be sitting on this floor reading Dark Knight Returns. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It is to me, Ben Affleck was Batman from the beginning, I've
you said, like the fans making things. Ben
Right.
Affleck is
Exactly. And
a fan making.
And I didn't
his
know
movie.
that. I didn't know that when they first announced it. For
Right.
me, it was like, the instant, my reaction was, I started thinking of Affleck from like Dogma or Chasing Amy,
Because we haven't really
like
seen
younger
much.
Affleck,
Right.
where I was like, well, shit, like he's kind of got that like crackly, whiny voice, like
Right,
fuck,
and you
he's gonna
haven't
sound
seen
like
much from him.
Well, see,
Right.
I
And I
instantly
think-
thought of Argo.
But then that's what ended up changing my mind
Yeah.
was after the announcement and everything, I eventually saw Argo, and I was like, whoa.
I think he's not like one for always being in the movies. I think his talent is probably going to be writing and
Yeah.
and
I wouldn't be
producing
surprised
and
if some were
directing
done. Yeah, I'm sorry.
eventually.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I
Being
wouldn't
one of the big directors that were
yeah,
that
exactly.
we talked about.
Oh, he already
coming
is. I
out.
mean, he already has nominations in the Academy Awards. So,
Yeah.
Right.
boom,
Yeah, that's
But,
just the beginning, though. I
I-
think he'll continue.
Oh,
if
for sure.
If he stays back here and does all this amazing writing and producing and stuff, and do a little bit of acting at the same time, but I think his heart is in the back, in that producing and writing.
mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we eventually find out that he is the one that did everything for Good Will Hunting. Because, Matt Damon hasn't written anything since. He hasn't produced or directed anything since. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. He's produced stuff. He's on the Bourne producing side of things. But I don't think he's on the same side of producing as Ben Affleck is. I'm going to almost guarantee that Good Will Hunting was majority Ben.
Well, it's funny because like up until now, everybody always assumed that most of it was Matt because he seemed all the intellectual one.
Yes.
And Affleck always had the cocky.
He's almost this retard in the background.
See, that's
Yeah.
what I always thought, that it was Matt. And then you
Right.
read all these other things that's going on. I read articles and stuff, and then you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can look at where he is now and go back and say, yeah, I bet.
Mhm.
bet.
Yeah, because you look at IMDb, Matt's written like 2 or 3 things that he's got credit for. Gone Baby Gone is like Ben Affleck's first thing he did since he decided he was going to be more than an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Everything since then has just been killer. I loved Argo. I mean, I just thought of it now as I was mentioning it, feeling, God, that was such a good fucking movie.
I think Matt was just more outward personality, so you assumed that he was the
Right.
brain.
Yeah.
Well, and at the time, Affleck kept getting cast as the jock, the
Yeah.
asshole,
The douchebag, yeah.
the douchebag. So like that was our perception of him, our public perception,
Unfortunately, yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
clearly, there's something else going on. Like he, and you can tell as a creative person, as a writer and a director and producer, when Batman v Superman was, just lambasted and torn apart.
When he was sitting there
hit
in that
him.
interview.
Sad,
Oh my
fuck.
It
god.
hit him so hard.
It
made me
was
feel
funny.
bad.
It was
Oh.
funny, but at the same time I was like, you fucking assholes. He walks into a room to sit with you. He takes his time out to sit and interview
Yeah,
with
Rotten
you.
Tomatoes.
And you're going to start throwing negative press at him.
Yeah,
What the hell?
yeah.
I would have walked out, personally. I would have
Yeah.
walked out of that
Nice
interview.
classy,
That
though.
interview, I would have walked out.
Well, and I think
It was rude.
I think he
Yeah.
did. I think he did the best that he could because the cool thing was Henry Cavill even tried to help that interview along.
Yeah.
And he tried to stand up and he was like, yeah, you know what? The critics matter to a point, but it's ultimately going to be the fans.
And the problem is a week later, the fans got to see the movie, and they didn't agree.
I just wanted to hug him.
Well, that's...
I did. I just want to be, come here.
Right. Well, and that's even afterwards. Henry Cavill has tweeted and thrown out there going, hey, I'm glad for the support. Thank you for telling me this or telling me that about him being Superman. He is an awesome Superman. He really is.
It was just the writing. That's all. That's what fans need to understand. Yeah. It's not the actor. You can tell when it's bad acting or if it's bad writing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So don't hold things against actors. That's one thing I've learned over time and as growing in my own creativity is understanding all the faucets that lead into a movie. You know, it's not just the actor. I mean, the actor played the part brilliant.
Yeah.
But the script is shit or the writing is shit.
Right.
It's their fault and we hold it.
Or the editing is shit.
Right.
Yeah, and we hold it against the actor.
Exactly. And that's writing is the key quintessential to all of this. You know, and this is the big topic is some of it is where do we go from here? Why do we have to have Superman this way or Batman that way? Well, the only thing that we can base off of is the comics that we have read. The big thing to me is you have to support the source material. If the comics are not good, if we don't give a fuck about the comics,
then redo it.
Then we don't get the good cinematic movies. You know, Civil War is probably maybe 35% of what the comic was.
Right.
We didn't have the numbers. We didn't have
and
the
how many people
story
bitched
arc,
about that?
which was dumb. How can you even consider comparing it to the comic?
Right.
You can't do it. There isn't even enough to do that. It's the same with Batman v Superman. If you try to compare it to Dark Knight Returns, you cannot do it. It was a different time period with a different purpose, with Joker. A different mindset. Yeah, there's just multiple things that happening. You have the Joker in Dark Knight Returns. You don't have the Joker in Batman v Superman. That was one of the big story arcs of Batman v Superman, of that Dark Knight Returns timeline. You don't get it. It doesn't work. It doesn't fit. You try doing things that just doesn't work. You jam different stories in there. No, stop it. So now we need to support the stories. What is the next thing? Who is the next writer that is going to push this? The Russo brothers are killing it, but they're not the writers. They're the directors. They have a visual mindset for what is going to happen.
And I think fans should start looking at the writers.
Oh,
they
yeah,
have
definitely.
to.
I mean, because the writers are the main core.
Right. Exactly. The writers for Captain America Civil War, for First Avenger, were the same ones as all three of them were the same. And they gave us a trilogy, and it's one of the best trilogies ever.
Right.
It's probably 4 or 5 on my list. Right. It is so good. I love Captain America. As a comic book reader, I never actually really liked Captain America. I always thought he was kind of a pud. When he died, I didn't care. I was just like, oh, well, that sucks.
Because he was just kind of Superman. Like, he was just...
He was.
It was impossible to kill him, and so there was no drama. And then when he died, it was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But I didn't...
The movies gave him a personality. His
exactly. Winter Soldier. I mean, I love First Avenger, but Winter Soldier is literally what turned me to Captain America.
Well, yeah, because
became cool.
He's unique.
Yeah.
He became his unique character instead of all the other ones.
Yeah, and I would argue that the writers did good, but I'm gonna give you this. The Chris Evans gave me Captain America in a different version, in a new light that I never had before. Just as Robert Downey Jr. did with Iron Man. Iron Man in comic book world was a B character until Robert pushed him.
Right.
You know? I'm telling you, these actors are giving us something special. If you give them the right script, if you push them in the right direction, they're going to give us more, and that's going to be awesome because you're going to continue to build awesome stories. You know, and that's the same with we have Doctor Strange coming with Benedict Cumberbatch. Hopefully we got a Black Widow coming with more Scarlett Johansson, which she is awesome and definitely not used enough.
Right.
and I'm hoping for, multiple things just coming out of this world that aren't going to give us fatigue, but are going to be better, like Wonder Woman.
I can't wait to see what Ryan Coogler does with Black Panther.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's going to be so
exactly.
cool.
And I am hoping, and I think Civil War hinted at it, was the fight between the girl from Black Panther's group. I don't know her name off the top of my head. Remember, she walked up to the limo and they hinted at it.
Yeah.
I think potentially there is a move where those two are going to go at it. Because even Chadwick
I remember
Boseman,
her. Okay.
Yeah, T'Challa was all like, that would be a fight I'd like to see.
That was like 1 30-second scene with her in it,
God.
but
it was a blip. It was the Easter egg of all the Easter eggs. Those two fighting, oh my God.
So she's like a protector of the king?
Yeah,
or?
she's essentially another version of Black Widow. She's trained. She can fight martial arts.
Yeah.
She's in the comic book currently, but I think she's actually against the government. I'm not really sure how she fits into all of it. I don't know Black Panther's original storyline, so
right.
This is something I never paid attention to. He's a lot like Doctor Strange for me, where he show up in the Avengers and I'd be like, oh, this character's really fucking cool. So.
Mm-hmm.
This one, Doctor Strange, is... Woo-hoo.
Oh, I cannot wait for that.
So excited.
It's going to be so different.
I think it's going to be a mind fuck, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah. We have covered a giant array of topics from Civil War to Batman to TV shows and their format. It's been a really good podcast. I thank you guys. It's been a lot of fun. So,
agreed.
Santi, where on the internets can they find you?
They can follow me at the Lord Biswa on Twitter. The Lord Biswa, or Facebook.com/The Lord Biswa, and they can subscribe to the YouTube channel, YouTube.com/The Lord Biswa. And I'm hoping to get my Civil War review out within the next 24 hours.
And you can find us on all the social media outlets, Outcast Collective at Instagram and Twitter. All the links will be below. Please, whatever platform you're listening to this on, whether it's SoundCloud, YouTube, or iTunes, please give us a like, a share, leave some comments, and we'd love to sit down and interact with you guys. So again, thank you for listening. This has been an Outcast Collective podcast.